Ang hirap kasi kailangan ko silang turuan pero hindi nila ako pinapakinggan bilang teacher simply because they typecasted me as either a nurse,
Or
healthcare worker, or helper sa bahay.
And one thing is basically the buildings are more spaced out. So the building from the main road, the setback is actually longer compared to the Philippines. That's why hindi siya masyadong madilim kahit pinapagitnaan ka ng buildings kasi malayo yung setback.
One challenge that they have kasi is lumaki nga yung sahod sa Singapore. Pero yung pamilya na nasa Pinas. So, ngayon, paano makaka-uwi, di ba? Pag umuwi kayo, sahod mo bababa, di ba?
Welcome po everyone and thank you for listening to or watching us in this very first podcast that we have entitled The Global Pinoy. Here we will talk about the great successes by great people, specifically and especially Pinoys anywhere in the world. Pero for now, dahil mostly ang mga tao natin ay based dito sa Singapore, so we will talk more about life of an OFW dito sa Singapore. I'm Cecil, and I will be moderating the sessions, specifically the one for today. And with me is Carl and Rico.
Hello everybody. Kaya guys, I'm very happy na sinimulan natin itong podcast na to because, this is a very good opportunity for, our kababayans, wherever they are in the world, OFWs, to listen to inspiring stories that can, potentially help them or motivate them sa mga bagay, sa mga endeavors nila, may it be in lifestyle, business, finance, you name it, di ba?
Isa rin yan sa mga goals ni Carl to help aspiring OFWs into their journey, into everywhere they want to go.
Yeah, I hope I can impart some knowledge or sharing some based on my stories and journey.
Let's talk about your journey from the Philippines to Singapore.
Before I moved here to Singapore, basically I was a consultant doing ERP. We were coming up with solutions for companies based on their requirements and needs. And based on my career path, basically, so after you become a seasoned consultant, most of the consultant actually goes overseas. But I end up in Singapore, but I became a support, doing ERP support, basically. So I joined that time, when was that? I think 2009, I think. I joined Fujitsu as an ERP support consultant. Then subsequently, I hopped jobs coincidentally every 3 years, so it was easy to track. So after my third hop, a friend of mine actually invited me to join DBS. So then I worked up the ropes. Nagtagal ako ng konti sa DBS because the job was actually very dynamic and the company is very big. People don't know everyone, even the person behind me, I don't know them quite well. So now, currently, I am an assistant vice president, managing a few applications, and a startup entrepreneur. And I think I can call myself a realtor as well. So,
So Kuya Rico, background mo?
Yeah, a little bit about myself. Isa akong Filipino, as you all know, pero I grew up here in Singapore. Yeah, I moved here in Singapore about 20 plus years ago. I was, I think, 14 years old ata yun back then. Yung story ko is just the standard Filipino kid in the Philippines with my father being an OFW. He was in Hong Kong, nasa Singapore din siya from time to time. He's an engineer. And then along the way, halfway through high school, bigla akong sinabihan ng parents ko, Rico, alis ka na dyan sa school mo. Punta na tayo Singapore. Pack your things and go. So, sabi ko, okay. Exciting! At the same time, syempre, namimiss ko yung mga friends ko dun, di ba? So, we came here to Singapore, we moved here, and I realized na, wow, ibang-iba talagang ang mundo. Iba yung feeling na nandun ka sa bansa na that speaks a different language, has a different cultural background. So, kailangan ko mag-adjust nun, di ba? Filipino speaker, speaking English and all that, you name it. And then, the rest is history. I went to college dito. Nag-NS din ako, and a few, actually na-kick out din ako sa school dito. Yeah. Na-kick out ako sa poly ko. Na-kick out ako. Then my dad sent me to National Service. Then from National Service, I continued. Medyo nabuhayan ako actually. So, yun, nag-private school, and then gumraduate. When I graduated, nag-start ako mag-work nagbebenta ako ng mga sales, mga tawag doon, sports apparel, compression tights, running shoes and all that. And then, along the way, nag-work naman ako as a regional brand manager ng Versace. On the floor, yeah, Versace. Ngayon, that was the time when me and my wife are already seeing each other, and then nagkapamilya and all that. And then medyo hindi ako natuwa dun sa sa corporate world kasi I realized something, I sell perfumes to these companies like Takashimaya, Paragon, yung mga ganyan. I sold pretty well dun sa mga department store. At nakita ko yung numbers, yung boss ko yung kumikita. Whereas ako, yung kinikita ko is yung salary. Right?
Correct.
So, naano ko, teka, parang ako yung nag-effort, pero ito na po sa office, nag-check ng numbers, siya kumikita. So, eventually, yung insurance agent ng parents ko, kinausap ako. Then, that's the time when pakwit na rin ako dun sa Versace. So, I became an insurance agent. That was about 8 years ago, 8 to 9 years ago. And then from there, selling insurance, helping people get protected and all that stuff. I realized another thing kasi halfway through. Sabi ko, if I was providing financial solutions or facilities, if I really want the best for everyone or for the people I speak to, dapat hawak ko din ang iba't ibang company because different companies will have different pros and cons, di ba? I don't need to push like one particular company lang to them. So that's when I moved now to independent financial advisory, and I'm a executive wealth manager with one independent financial advisory firm dito sa Singapore. So what I do is I help people, specifically Filipinos, expose their assets to the financial markets, leading to creating passive income monthly. So it's something that may strong advocacy ako doon na bawat OFW dito sa Singapore, just like my dad, one challenge that they have kasi is lumaki nga yung sahod sa Singapore, pero yung pamilya na nasa Pinas. So ngayon, paano makaka-uwi, di ba? Pag umuwi kayo, sahod mo bababa, di ba? So, if you create passive income, pag uwi mo, at least may pera kang, hindi na sayang yung pag-OFW mo, may naipon ka, may passive ka na tatanggap galing Singapore, punta Pilipinas, hindi yung lifestyle ng family mo, hindi magbabago. Okay, so besides that, I also do a few businesses here and there, like subboxing, then a few businesses with Kuya Carl as well.
Currently, I'm an assistant general manager sa isang education industry ako. So, may student care yung boss ko, may art enrichment rin. But I started as a school teacher sa Pinas. At that point of time, I was teaching, then meron pa akong tutorials. So, parang sa 24 hours, 4 na oras lang yung pahinga ko. Kaya ako nag-decide na mag-work somewhere else para lang i-break yung cycle. So, napasok ako sa education industry pa rin naman yung pinasukan ko. Pero hindi na ako sa loob ng school. Kami na yung mga industry ng after school na kids. So, I've been in this industry here in Singapore for 10 years. And so far, maraming learnings. Kasi iba yung kultura sa Pinas, iba yung kultura dito. For those of you who are listening to this podcast, marami tayong iba-ibang definitions kasi ng success.
Yes,
Ang problema kasi sa atin, most of the people, pag sinabing successful, kailangan marami kang pera, mayaman ka, kilala ka. Pag sinabi yung pangalan mo, wow, yung mga ganon. Pero we also have to celebrate small successes kasi that's what will propel us to do more in the future. So ngayon, before we talk about entrepreneurship, before we talk about businesses and all that, maybe what we can start talking about is as an OFW, paano tayong nag-adjust dito sa Singapore, kung ano yung mga ginawa natin, which we consider as a success, kung bakit hanggang ngayon, nandito pa rin tayo, more than 10 years. Between us, among us, more than 10 years na tayo lahat dito. So,
As what Kuya Rico mentioned when he came here for the first time, diba? There's a different feeling. You just feel like you're a tourist at first. So the first few days and weeks is still fun. Kasi parang everything is still fresh. Parang my personal feeling was there that back then was like, uy, ang ganda, ang linis dito. Parang nasa Makati pero mas maganda pa. That's the very first feeling. I remember the agent was actually fetching me from the airport. We took a taxi. Then I can't help but just gaze around the environment kasi it was so clean. I mean, I live in Manila, so it was relatively okay. But when you even come here, it's totally different. Parang it was so organized na parang lahat is man-made and everything was so perfect. But then we started working. The immediate thing that you will notice is Singapore is all about efficiency. The business process, the public transport, and the rules in your work is all about efficiency. So that is one of the differences, the differences that the difficulties as well when you come back to the Philippines and visit. You will feel that everything actually moves so slow. So here in Philippines, for example, government papers and agencies, you can actually almost complete everything in one day. Whereas when you go back home in the Philippines, one paper is equivalent to one day. Back then, they don't have the no lunch break rule. So once you cross past around 11:30, you will have to come back around 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to actually process your paper. When they compare people working in the European nations or even the States, right? If you work in Asia, like countries like Singapore and Hong Kong, the number of hours that you put in work is totally different from them. We're not saying that they're lazy, but for Singapore, basically, at other Asian countries, your deliverables are the expectation of your deliverables is very high. So I think that that's one of the differences that you can definitely agree on also.
Naalala ko when I went to London before with Karina. Alam mo, alas 5 pa lang, sarado na yung mga shops. Like, what? Kasi Singapore yan hanggang 11 p.m. bukas yan, di ba?
9 p.m. yung mga restaurants sarado.
Yeah,
Wala
close
ka
na.
na makakainan. So if you wanna work late, you better make sure you have food already.
yes.
Yeah, except for the Chinese restaurants. Di ba? Sila magaling sa business eh.
Kahit sa Sydney, there was one time na nasa labas ako, parang ang bukas na lang is yung nagtitinda ng kebab. Pero everything else, so ang dilim-dilim habang naglalakad. Kasi lahat sarado na. Yung stretch na puro food. So, sarado na lahat. Pero gusto ko yung point mo, kuya, nung paglabas mo ng airport, tapos nakita mo lahat. Ako naman, ang una kong naisip doon, walang kable ng kuryente. Kasi lalo na sa Manila, salabat na yung mga kable nila. Pero dito parang, wow.
Minsan may sapatos pa, di ba?
May mga saranggola na nakasabit, yung pag may eleksyon, yung mga streamer. Tapos, pero dito parang ang liwanag. So, una naisip ko pa bakit ang liwanag dito? Tsaka ko lang na-realize, walang kable ng kuryente. Yung cable ng kuryente, ng internet, ng basically every cable sa Pinas na nasa taas, dito sa Singapore, underground.
And one thing is basically the buildings are more spaced out. So the building from the main road, the setback is actually longer compared to the Philippines. That's why hindi siya masyadong madilim kahit pinapagitnaan ka ng buildings kasi malayo yung setback. Hindi katulad sa atin. So pagpunta ka ng Binondo, yung street is yung one sidewalk lang, tapos may dalawang lane sa isang sidewalk and another building na. So ganun, di ba?
Yung sa akin naman, pagdating ko dito sa Singapore, nalungkot ako agad. Kasi nung nag-migrate kami dito, teenager ako eh. And ayun yung kasagsagan nung happenings ng buhay ko eh. Ayun yung time na may bago akong friends. And doon ako natuto yung mga, to enjoy life. And then halfway through, nung pa-start pa lang yung teenage life ko, in-extract ako sa Philippines. So, naging ko to Singapore. I gotta restart it back again. So, I had to create my own circle na naman. My first friends actually were Singaporeans. Yung mga, that time sa my Woodlands, doon kami nakatira ng dad ko. Kaming dalawa muna na una kami ng dad ko. I remember I was so bored, and that was the time na mahilig ako sa mga pagbabanda. And then, I went downstairs and may nakita akong group of, teenagers din. And they're playing the guitar. So, I went to them. So, syempre, fresh off the boat from the Philippines. Sabi ko sa kanila, hey guys, I'm from the Philippines, man. I don't have friends here. And I see you're listening to like punk music. So, that moment, naging parang nag-connect kami through that punk music as a teenager. So these guys, right, they're still my friends until now. I realized something na kung lumaki ako sa Philippines compared sa paglaki ko dito sa Singapore, I felt na magiging iba yung yung upbringing ko or yung paglaki ko. Kasi doon kasi sa Philippines, yung sa school ko kasi doon, yung group of friends ko, they're into like those, fraternities, yung mga high school stuff, right? And dito, napunta siya sa music, music, punk rock, and all that. And then, during that time, yung parents ko, we weren't even PRs yet. Hindi pa kami taga dito. They were. And then, I overheard them before na nag-usap sila. Ang mahal ng tuition. Which is something relatable kasi may mga na-meet ako na non-PRs, di ba? And then they say na may mga kids dito. I heard that yung tuition fee sa Singapore, sobrang mahal, di ba? Compared, if foreigner ka, compared to if PR ka or Singaporean. So which got me thinking na ang struggles talaga ng Filipino or OFW, especially when they leave home, is compared sa naiisip ng mga nasa Pilipinas na, uy, nag-abroad, madami pera to, successful na to. Pero actually, these OFWs are going through challenges dun sa bansa na pinuntahan nila.
Ang pinakamalaking challenge ko is how to get past the notion na basta babaeng OFW dito sa Singapore na galing Pinas ay, sad to say, ay katulong.
Oof.
So, nung unang beses na nasa class ako, the very first day, nung ini-introduce ako as the new teacher for that class, there was one kid who came up to me and said, my auntie is Filipino. Ibig sabihin nun, yung katulong nila sa bahay, Pinoy. So, when I started asking them to do things, hindi nila ako pinapansin at sinusunod. Kasi ang tingin nila sa akin, dun sa center, hindi teacher. Ang tingin nila sa akin dun, katulong sa center, yaya. English teacher ako sa Pinas. So, I'm proud na gamitin yung English na alam ko. Kasi formal Kasi I was hired to be an English teacher, diba? Pero pagdating ko dito, hindi nila pinapansin yon.
Yeah.
Pag may sinabi ako, hanggat hindi nila naintindihan sa sarili nilang way ng pagsabi, hindi nila yon papansinin. Kasi unang-una, katulong na nga lang yung tingin nila sa akin, tapos iba pa yung tunog ko. So, pag sinabi kong, can you please take out your homework so we can start doing it together? Tititigan lang nila ako. So ngayon, pinanood ko yung mga kasama ko. So, after a few times, so, ang ginawa ko naman, got homework, take out. So,
Nag-phone switch ka bigla.
Kailangan kasi sinabi ko rin dun sa mga kasama ko, sa boss ko na, no, I know you hired me to teach English, but I couldn't break through until I have to do this. So, kailangan kong sundan pag-aralan yung accent nila. Pag umuwi nga ng Pinas ngayon, I really sound so funny when I use English. Kasi nga, parang tunog Singlish na. Ang hirap.
Ang comment sa akin sinasabi nila na lagi na I sound like a Singaporean na daw. Pero ako talaga, I don't even try nandun na lang eh. Pero going back to efficiency, that's why they're so focused on efficiency. Pati yung language that they speak, sobrang compacted na.
Very unforgivable sila sa language. Kasi, example, kuya, bumili ako ng, first time kong bumili ng drink. Hindi ko alam anong, sabi ko, sige, auntie, apple juice. Huh? Tinuro ko pa kasi yung mga fresh na fruit, tas gagawin juice, di ba? Sabi ko, tama, apple juice. So, nakita ng friend ko, lumapit yung friend ko, sabi niya, auntie, apple juice. Tas sabi ng auntie, ayo, apple juice, umana, okay. So, realize ko, tama naman yung apple juice eh. So ngayon, pag pupunta ako ng mga offer center, apple juice please. Kasi hindi nila papansinin kung hindi pareho sa language. Kung paano na i-pronounce.
Again, about efficiency, they don't go about ordering na I want a long black or American or a latte or cappuccino. So basically, you have to understand the differences between black coffee with sugar, milk, and condensed milk. And you have yin yang, which is a combination of both basically. So I think that's
Yung
one of
kopi yung kosong, di ba? Kopi yung kosong, kopi si,
Kopi siutay.
kopi siutay. Nung you mentioned na when your students, right? Sa work mo, when you say Filipina teacher, right? You know, and then they mentioned that, you know, na pag Filipina laging DH or domestic helper. How did that make you feel at first?
Hurt ako nun, kuya. Kasi
Bakit naman?
naisip ko parang, hindi naman dahil sa profession or what. Pero teacher mo ko, nasa harap mo ko. Pagkatapos sasabihin mo sa akin na nani mo ko. Eh, hindi naman ako nani. Pinag-aralan ko yung mga tinuturo ko sa'yo, kung paano ko nakarating dito, pinaghirapan ko. Pero, ni-stereotype mo ko. I'm not saying that being a helper is not good thing. It's just that, kahit saan ka na pumunta ngayon eh. Actually, ang isa pa is nurse. So, may mga iba na ang tanong rin sa akin, nung nasa Philippines ka ba, nurse ka? So, ang hirap kasi kailangan ko silang turuan, pero hindi nila ako pinapakinggan bilang teacher simply because they typecasted me as either a nurse, or healthcare worker, or helper sa bahay.
It gives us to me, it gives me the motivation to
stand out.
Yeah, to stand out, to do well, you know,
Just to prove ourselves.
not really prove, but I want to be a role model of the Filipinos around me. You know, I want it to be like, I'm not saying the God tier now or what, but when a local or another nationality looks at somebody who is a Filipino who is doing well, it kind of like brings everyone with them. Yeah, brings everyone up.
Alam niyo ba dito na marami ng mga local families na hindi na kumukuha ng Filipino na helper?
Bakit?
Kasi Filipino helper na ngayon ang pinakamahal na helper. Simply because they can speak
Yeah,
English.
actually, it's not just that, but partly because of our government.
The government is in a way
actually ensures
protecting.
us or most of the OFW mates or helpers here that they get
Diversified
good
ba?
salaries basically. There's a minimum requirement that is set by the government. So that's part of the reason why the rate of the helpers or the kasambahays here are actually quite high compared to other countries. But yeah, it's good that you mentioned it, that one of the nicest speaking English for helpers is basically Filipinos. That's why most of the families initially wanted Filipinos. But that became a problem because the rate of the government, actually because of the increase in all, suddenly most of people, actually now the rate is probably around 700, I think. So it used to be around 400-500. So yung export natin ng manpower talaga globally is still basically sa ganung sector, kumbaga. So hindi mo matanggal sa mindset ng mga foreigners in other countries na basta't Filipino. I mean, you can take it as a bragging rights na rin basically na um, an efficient nanny or an efficient helper is a Filipino, right? You can look at it that way basically. So kaya naging ganun na rin hanggang sa mga shows, sa mga lahat na lumalabas na pag Filipino, Maria is a helper.
Oh,
Maria.
Maya.
Maria.
May second stereotype pa dito pagka Pinoy. Actually, sa mga gentlemen, hindi eh. Sa babae lang usually yun. So, either helper ka or nurse.
Ay,
Yan, like, may isang friend ako na sabi sa akin na, also, kung hindi ka na magtuturo, pwede ka naman sa hospital, di ba? Kasi nurse ka. Baka naman parang, where did I give you any indication whatsoever that I actually have a nursing degree? I have been a teacher. I studied to be a teacher. My profession and line is always in in education.
Hindi, kasi like I said, going back to statistics, alam ko yan kasi ang third choice ko sa UST, hindi ko lang kinuha, was nursing. So, at back then, talagang boom din ang nursing. Pag-graduate ko, I would have probably in the US na. Kaya hindi kami nag-meet ng asawa ko. No? Pero, ang ano nun kasi nga, yun nga, based on statistics, ang in-export talaga ng tao natin, ganun din. So, yung domestic helpers, then nursing. So, susunod na yan, mga seaman actually. Pero ang seaman kasi, puro lalaki karamihan. So, kaya hindi masyadong sobrang ano. Pero if you talk to seafarers, marami pa rin Pilipino na nasa ganyang industry. So, based on statistics, na-generalize na lang din yung
Kung ang stereotype sa Pinay is nurse or helper, anong statistics sa
sa lalaki.
Ang alam ko, pogi eh.
Ngayon, pwede ko yan.
Stereotype sa akin eh.
Eh,
Pero sa tingin mo yung stereotype sa sa lalaki?
Hindi ko alam kuya eh, kasi hindi pa ako nakarinig ng stereotyping ng Pinoy na lalaki dito. Laging sa babae. Yun na nga yung isa pang point ko. Laging sa babae lang yung stereotype dito sa Singapore.
But,
Pero si Direk, baka si Direk alam mo. Direk, ano sa tingin mo ang stereotype sa mga lalaking Pinoy dito sa Singapore?
Yun nga, sinabi ko pogi.
Uh,
Sinabi ko na kay ate kanina pa yun.
ano kasi na pa?
Kanina ko pa sinasabi.
Gano'n ba?
Sabi ko pagdating ng pogi.
on a serious note, siguro kung hindi naman siya sa stereotype pero one thing that I have probably observed is in general, for Singaporeans, right, I'm sure you would have probably felt it. It's difficult to be accepted as one of them, basically. Like, for example, you have served your NS, basically. So, I have pledged my allegiance to them. So, in short, I converted my nationality to Singaporean citizen. But somehow there's this feeling that majority of them don't treat you or make you feel as if you are one of them. And in fact, majority would say is like, serve the nation, but you have served the nation. But there's still this feeling na, iba ka, kumbaga.
Ako hindi. Maybe perhaps a circle ko lang. Because my circle is both Filipinos and Singaporeans. So amongst my Singaporean friends and the Singaporeans that I meet, I never felt like they excluded me anywhere. Maybe because maybe it's just the level of people that I hang out with. But at the same time kasi we grew up here, and then there's this something about a Filipino or anyone na lumaki sa Singapore. For some reason pag ako tumingin ng Pilipino, parang malalaman ko na dito lumaki. Like really, like someone my age na same situation sa akin. Kahit hindi ko pa narinig, parang mafe-feel ko, teka, I'm sure na lumaki dito yan, Hindi ko lang mahanap kung but there is something. But yung experience ko so far with the Singaporeans, although PR ako, hindi nga ako Singaporean. Everybody just treats me just like, I'm from here. That's my experience though. Yeah. Siguro sa age yung kuya.
Tsaka sa circle na rin siguro kasi these people grew up with you. So basically,
Unlike us,
you
we
belong.
started here too.
Kumbaga, oo. So there's a sense of belonging na, or you built the trust basically. But maybe for us, since I've shifted work, probably, every after 3 years. So maybe that bond and trust has not been instilled. So maybe that's why probably I can say such things.
With all these factors, ano kayang magandang advice sa mga Pilipinong magsa-start mag-OFW sa Singapore? Natin.
You have to be prepared.
Prepared of what?
Mentally prepared.
Mentally
Kasi
prepared.
anywhere you go, not just in Singapore, every country you land into will always have a different culture.
Mm.
So kung hindi ka prepared na makisalamuha to assimilate yourself, pag-aralan sila, and you just keep pushing yourself na ikaw lang yung na ito ako eh.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if
yeah.
you don't adapt, maiiwanan ka talaga.
Mm.
Mahirap ang buhay overseas kasi kailangan mong maghanap ng pag nasa Pinas ka, most of us have our family, so meron tayong support system kumbaga, pero pagka nasa overseas ka, lalo na yung mga mag-isa lang bagong salta kumbaga, wala kayong support eh. So bago kayo umalis, kailangan ninyo talaga na mentally i-prepare yung sarili nyo.
I think, kuya, what advice would you give?
Ako siguro
Filipinos.
yung pakikisama. But you cannot apply pakikisama only on your own people or Filipinos in general. That's one of the major problems that I see for newcomers. Basically, maghahanap ka agad ng kapwa mo Filipino lang.
Mm.
But the thing is, like, pag nakahanap ka na ng group mo, you just stick with them.
Mm.
But I think the thing is, in order to lessen what I have mentioned, that feeling of exclusion,
Mm.
pakisamahan din natin yung mga locals basically.
Mm.
Learn to adapt not just in Singapore, basically. It will apply to anywhere.
Anywhere in the
basically.
world, yes.
So just be one of them. Don't alienate yourself.
Yes,
basically.
yes.
So sa mga viewers yan, narinig nyo based sa mga kwento namin, different backgrounds. Pero hindi madali ang buhay overseas.
Yes.
And hindi basta-basta.
Mm.
So now, abangan nyo yung susunod na episode. Kasi sa susunod na episode naman, magkukwento si Kuya Carl and si Kuya Rico about entrepreneurship, about what you do with your income that you earned overseas, which is definitely higher than what you earn from back home, and yung mga iba pang kwento related to that. So with that, we would like to thank everyone who has been with us for this few minutes. Salamat Kuya Carl, salamat Kuya Rico.
Thank you, Kuya Ate.
Episode 2.
Episode 2. See you. Peace out.